TNN Motorsports coverage of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League is brought to you by Peerless Faucet, the do-it-for-yourself faucet. Caution is out here at Atlanta for J.J. Yaley. There's some Motor Madness fans, to be sure. And Vince Welch has caught up with him.
J.J.'s been a tough weekend and culminates with the blown motor.
Yeah, it has. You know, we just kind of struggled a little bit this whole week here. The engines have been down a little bit on horsepower, and, you know, we were just going to try to ride along here in this race. And, you know, unfortunately come up a little bit short, but the one-call car was looking for a good finish. The bank of lights that went out along the front straight, was that causing a problem as far as vision on the track? No, not really. You know, right now the racetrack's lit so brightly that that little spot down coming off of turn 4 didn't affect too much. So I think they'll get along pretty easy and have good vision. J.J. Yaley done for the night. Let's go up pit road to Ralph Shaheen.
Keith Jones is a truck driver and left front tire changer for Panther Racing. Well, Keith was getting ready to come on down to Atlanta and bring the truck down, but he went out to start it up. It wouldn't fire up. Problem was, it had a CB radio antenna that melted. It had a soccer ball-sized hole underneath the truck put into the concrete, and all the electronics were blown out. Why? It was struck by lightning. And with his driver, Scott Goodyear, out front leading here in Atlanta, he's hoping lightning doesn't strike twice.
Scott Goodyear is your leader at 66 laps. We're under caution. Kenny Breck, Davey Hamilton, Marco Greco, and Mark Dismore are the top 5. You're watching the Pep Boys Indy Racing League live on TNN. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. 68 laps complete under caution. Scott Goodyear the leader, Kenny Breck second. One thing I love about big league auto racing on TV, you can do something you can't do in any other sport. Tom?
And fuel.
Yeah, Davey Hamilton, Tom Sneeb in the booth.
Tommy, go ahead.
I think if we could see through that helmet, you'd have to have a smile on your face. Started 10th, running 3rd. How's it been out there?
The car's really good right now. This is a fun race, and I'll tell you what, you're just wide open the whole way around and try to get a friend out there and catch a little toe. And so far we've had a few, and we've got a great pit stop right there. I like pitting under green. My guys are the best in the pit, so hopefully get a few more of those and go to the front.
All right, good job, Davey. Good luck the rest of the way.
I love this sport. Can you imagine talking to Mark McGuire in between pitches, or Sammy Sosa? You know, I don't know. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's great stuff, and he sounds pretty relaxed.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so.
Too uptight. He's sort of just
Good
happy
deal.
to be there.
All right, Tony Stewart started 25th. He's running 9th. Let's go to his pit and Ralph.
Mike, I'm with Larry Curry, who's the team manager for Tony Stewart. Larry, you guys are doing something you don't normally do, racing up through the field. How's that going tonight?
Well, the car's working pretty good. Our biggest concern is, I mean, the leader is getting incredible fuel mileage. He outran us on the first stop by about 8 laps, and that's going to be hard to handle if he can continue to do that all night long.
Well, you made a splash and go. Is that to help combat that? Are you in good shape now?
Exactly. We're trying to offset that a little bit on this next round, hopefully.
All right, Mike, there's the story from Tony Stewart's pit.
And let me clarify, Tony Stewart has led every IRL race this year and 18 of the 21 events that have been held since the series began. Going into tonight's race, he has not led tonight, started 25th, and is running in 9th place.
Well, the key here, we talked about it earlier, is fuel mileage. You know, some of these guys aren't getting what they had hoped for, and a lot of times it can be a big factor in the outcome.
So there's a look at Stewart, who is running in 9th position. Going to go run in NASCAR for Joe Gibbs next year and compete in only one Pep Boys Indy Racing League event, that being the Indy 500. Eddie Cheever, the defending Indy 500 champion. He thinks a lot of the IRL coming deep into stock car country, and told us yesterday what he thinks the IRL has to offer to Atlanta.
Atlanta's a great city. I mean, they just had the Olympics here. People understand sports. All their sports teams are very successful. Every time they have a NASCAR race down here, it's sold out. And there isn't an American in the world that doesn't know there's the 50th anniversary of NASCAR. So we're going right into an important market like Atlanta, and I think we'll be very successful. People are attracted to racing because of speed and excitement. I mean, when you talk about the IRL, you talk about speed and excitement. That's what we have. I mean, we are fast, and so they'll like it. It's a good market for us to be in.
Nice crowd on hand here tonight, and they're liking it. The speeds have been blinding. We're getting set for the restart. Boy, Scott Goodyear really pulls the trigger and jumps out ahead of the pack. Pace car hits pit road, and look at the lead that Goodyear has built up.
Well, sometimes, again, Billy Boat on the restart, the start of the race, it just doesn't come to speed very quick. So we might get one of the guys in the pits to check with AJ and ask him what kind of problem Billy has on these restarts.
Well, it wasn't just Billy, it was Kenny Breck, the second place car. Unless it was just Scott Goodyear taking off a lot sooner than Breck figured.
Well, again, both Voigt cars, so I don't know if the gear spread coming up through the gears is a little bit off or what.
Remember, Scott Goodyear jumped the restart in Indy in 1995 and paid dearly for it. Well, he's well out in front at 72 laps. Kenny Breck, there's Breck's car. In second, Davey Hamilton, we spoke to him a moment ago, is in third. Marco Greco, Mark Dismore. Then it's Scott Sharp, Eddie Cheever, Buddy Lazier, Tony Stewart, and Jeff Ward. Also on the lead lap, Stefan Gregoire and Greg Ray.
Well, there's Billy coming back to speed again. Yep. After a couple laps, he gets it going and starts closing the gaps.
Could it be as simple a thing, Tom, as restarting in a higher gear, or just a different choice of gears in the box?
Well, again, sometimes they're running 3 high gears, so they don't have so many to select as they come up through the gear ratio. So, you know, that could be part of the problem.
Ooh, Tom, on the outside, Eddie Cheever, and at first I wasn't sure Dismore knew he was there. I'm sure he did, but he didn't leave him a whole lot of room. You're watching from Scott Sharp. There's Tony Stewart going by.
99 control.
Boy, Stewart's on a mission.
Do I have permission to go over the white line to broom that spoil dry?
We're hearing
That's
people in the pits trying to clean up stuff in the pit lane.
IRL. Almost a touch there. Stewart almost got into Cheever.
Stewart wiggled pretty severely and almost got Cheever.
Stewart is flying. Last lap for Tony, 223 miles an hour.
Still there.
That's 2 miles an hour faster than the leader.
Clear low.
And about 4 miles an hour faster than the cars he's racing with. From the top side to the low side.
Well, again, that's in heavy traffic, so sometimes you can get a tow, and that'll help the speed, but he's having to weave through some of this traffic.
Still there. Clear eye. Clear eye. Good job, Tony. Keep digging, baby.
Tony's guys, they've got the balance pretty close now. You can see him in the middle of the corner, able to use a lot of throttle and just drive by these guys.
Sam Schmidt makes a pit stop and comes back on the speedway. So Stewart is up to 4th place.
P4, Tony. P4.
Like we said, P4, position 4.
Well, that yellow car is that Ward or Knapp? I can't tell.
Gosh, suddenly, folks, there's a spate of yellow cars in the IRL, and a couple of them are real difficult to tell apart from a distance.
I think actually it was Steve Knapp
Yes.
and Parker Hannafin car and doing a great job out there.
Now, that was Knapp, who is in 19th position.
There's Eddie Cheever pulling down to the bottom side in the blue car, blue and black.
Now he comes right up on Mark Dismore. That's the 6th and 7th place car. There is second, Kenny Breck. Ralph's in his pit.
Mike, John King is the crew chief for Kenny Breck. John, it seems like Kenny's not getting as good a start on the restart to Scott Goodyear. Has he got a problem with the gearing, or is Goodyear just that good?
No, I think Goodyear just jumped the start there a little bit ahead of him. We'll get him before the night's over.
All right, well, hopefully they won't have to deal with any more cautions, Mike.
Well, thanks, Ralph.
Well, they actually need, you know, these restarts. The leader does have a big advantage if he's able to let the pace car get away from him. And they do that in IndyCar racing. I'm not sure why, but if they left the pace car out there and didn't let the leader spread himself from the pace car, they could keep those restarts a lot tighter.
I'm sorry, I was laughing at King's reaction. You know, he says, well, we didn't do anything wrong. Actually, it was this guy, Scott Goodyear, who is the leader in 81 laps. His last lap, 221 miles an hour. Kenny Breck in second, Davey Hamilton third. Tony Stewart is up for 4th. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Mike Joy with Tom Sneva. Watching Scott Goodyear run around here at 219, 220 miles an hour and lead most of this race. Jeff Ward led from the start, the first 27 laps.
This is inside Goodyear's car here. Let's listen for the engine pitch. He rolls out just an ounce. Not much, though.
And let's have Scott Goodyear take us for a tour around Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Right now with Atlanta, you just drive in turn one, you're flat, you just sort of guide the car through the turn, let the car do the work and sort of rotate itself and free itself out coming out of the turn, and then you know, it will take long to get down the straightaway at the speeds that we're going. We're already into turns 3 and 4, and 3 and 4 is it's much the same as 1 and 2. You're flat and a little bit different line, just trying to keep the car as freed up as possible, and you get into the tri-oval, which is a nice section coming out of the 4 because it really allows a lot of racing room side by side because you got the track opening up the D-leg there.
Scott Goodyear just put another lap on Robbie Buell, whose car is not up to speed if you call 202 miles an hour. Not up to speed.
Well, even when he was that much slower than Goodyear, Goodyear still gave him lots of room. You heard him roll out of the throttle as he was talking about getting around a lap here.
Now, Mark Dismore is in the pit lane. Would this be a scheduled stop for Dismore?
I don't think so, Mike. I think we heard on the radio that it might be a tire problem.
Well, he was in at lap 44 and now comes in at lap 87. And I don't think he was in under that last caution.
Well, then that would fit, but again, he had some concerns about the tires, so a lot of times you'll come in early to be on the safe side if you're in that pit window.
5 laps to
Tony Stewart has caught Greg Ray. This is the battle for 4th place right here. Stewart looking low. Now Ray is giving him a lot of room, Tom, on the bottom of the racetrack there.
Well, you heard Greg Ray's guys talking to him. They're talking about pitting in the next 5 laps. So, you know, how serious they're going to race for those 4 laps before you enter the pits.
And Tony Stewart was just in. Ray wiggled the back of the car off the corner.
Inside.
Now Ray had just passed Stewart. Here's Stewart coming right back after him.
Inside. Still there.
Again, the spotter trying to help him around the racetrack.
Working lap traffic,
We're a little
Robbie
high
Buell.
when we're way up top there, Greg. It's kind of dusting it pretty hard like Milwaukee 94.
This is pretty unusual. The crew's talking to him right in the middle of the corner, and he's in heavy traffic. Now, a lot of the drivers don't like that situation. You need to concentrate pretty heavily when you're in the middle of the corner and when you're in traffic. So those two together.
Stewart's got to worry about Cheever now.
I'm not sure that a lot of these guys would like to be talked to quite that often.
But Greg Ray had just gotten past Tony Stewart and now solidifies his hold on 4th place.
Well, Eddie Cheever right there.
Yep. Stewart up from 25th to 5th. Greg Ray 16th up to 4th. Buddy Lazier started 18th, now running 9th. Nobody's ever won an IRL race from that far back.
Again, this is the battle right here. And you saw Greg Ray wiggle. When Tony gets right up on the back end of him, he takes a little bit of the air off the rear wing of the lead car, the black car, and it'll cause the car to get a little loose if the balance is real close to neutral.
Ralph, what's the strategy on Greg Ray?
Well, Mike, one of the things I wanted to tell you about is Greg Ray is one of the few drivers in this series to have utilized both tire manufacturers. Early on in the season, he ran Firestones. The 2 races he subbed for Billy Boat were on Goodyear's, and he's back to Firestones. So he is able to utilize all of that information on his own car here tonight.
All right, we've got Mark Dismore has now dropped down to 15th position. Vince, what's the trouble there with Mark?
Well, Dismore had a bad right tire, so as you were speculating, they did not make a scheduled stop. It was unscheduled. They needed to come in. They went ahead, obviously, and changed all 4 tires, but the bad right rear for Dismore.
Greg Ray. Again, the car looked loose, and he spun it. He hasn't hit anything yet. But
Yellow. That's us. We spun. Are we in, Greg? Are we off the wall? Talk to me, spotter. Can't see. The podium's in the way. He slid off the wall. He didn't hit the wall on the outside, but he might have on the inside. I can't see.
Yep, he sure did. Greg Ray is going to climb out after a really impressive drive tonight here in Atlanta. You could see as he spun, he really kept the wheel spinning, trying to gain any kind of purchase and momentum to keep that car from spinning into the back wall.
Well, the amazing part is he just got through spinning about 2 360s, and Greg Roy, of all the voices we heard over that radio communication, he was more calm than the spotter was. And that's pretty good willpower from a driver's standpoint.
I think that first voice was the crew chief yelling caution, caution, caution.
Yeah, but then
Greg knew.
said,
he knew who it was.
Greg told him you never want to be the reason to have the caution come out, even when you're looking for it. Now, that's not a blue uniform.
Now, safety crews and folks out there near the corner with Greg Ray. We'll have a look at what happened to Greg Ray when we come back. We're under caution at 95 laps. The caution is out for Greg Ray's wreck. That's Ray on the wrecker, and another car has just pounded the wall exiting the pit. John Paul Jr. in the Visionaire, Bryan Heating and Cooling number 10, coming out of turn 2. I guess it just come out of the pits, and he just slammed the wall hard. So he was trying to get back up to speed and get in line.
Yeah, we're not sure what happened there. Again, it's just coming out of the pits, and they're under yellow. So it's hard to say. We need to check in the pits and see if he communicated.
There's Tony Stewart, who is the second-place car. And they may have touched, is the indication we're getting.
Well, 4 or 5 of them came out of the pits all together when we were at break, and so it was pretty good racing coming out of the pits.
He was just outside Tony Stewart coming out of the pits.
Well, actually, Davey Hamilton came in third and left.
Now, Marco Greco, I believe, did not stop. Let's see what happened here to Greg Ray, the black car.
Tony Stewart right behind him, and he's coming up on Billy Boat. And the car just jumped sideways.
Oh, look, it's just getting by his Cheever.
Wow.
And Stewart.
I mean, this is real close. The black car, again, watch, he just gets loose. He's right between 2 cars. It didn't look like he was that close that the air from both those cars should have affected him, but that car just jumped sideways. Here it is again, the black car. And look at Eddie Cheever up high. Just misses Eddie. Those two got together at Dover and weren't happy with each other.
No,
so
they were battling for an up front position. Cheever just lucky to get by, and I wonder what his thoughts were as he saw Ray going around.
This is leaving the pits under the yellow. Wow. Now that car just took off to the right. I don't know if he tried to gas it a little bit or what, but you know, they're going pretty slow. I'm not sure what caused that car to just dive right.
Something went very wrong, but it looked as if just at the point where the track transitions from the flat to the banking is where John Paul's car just rocketed up into the wall.
Well, and
it looks like it took off.
Well, I don't know if that's a transition with cold tires, and he was trying to accelerate to get to blend into that back straightaway. But under the yellow, it's a little unusual.
9th DNF in 12 races for Greg Ray in the Pep Boys Indy Racing League. So we're still under caution here at Atlanta, but we'll be right back. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway for TNN's coverage of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League. Tonight's Atlanta 500 Classic presented by Pep Boys, and there is John Paul Jr.'s car going off. The only driver in this race who also competed in the last IndyCar race to be held here back in 1983.
Well, yeah, he actually finished third that day, and it appears as though third's out of the question tonight.
Greg Ray out of the race as well. Now, Kenny Breck trying to win his 3rd in a row. Nobody's ever done that. Ari Leyendyke won 2 in a row. Breck pitted moments before Greg Ray spun, and Kenny Breck lost a lap pitting. So now during this caution flag, the power team car has stayed out on the racetrack, so technically he is the last car on the lead lap right now, positioned just behind the safety car.
Well, what makes this pretty interesting is Breck won the last race that these guys had by having better fuel mileage and not having to stop late in the race. Now he gets caught with the yellow situation. He couldn't stretch the fuel. He had to pit, and I'm not sure if that was fuel or they were trying to make an adjustment on the car, and maybe Ralph or Vince, who's down there, that can talk with AJ and find out why they pitted.
Well, don't forget the MCI, Pep Boys $1 million bonus, which was posted for any driver who could win the 3 televised races, and a fan will split it. And there's how you can enter that sweepstakes. Kenny Breck, of course, is the only driver eligible because of his win at Charlotte. If he wins tonight and wins Las Vegas, there's $1 million at stake for Kenny and some lucky fan. So Tony Stewart has been adjudged to be the leader. Greg Ray is out of the race. Vince is with him.
Greg, what happened in the accident?
It was unfortunate. This is our first race back since the Dallas race, and we had a really good car. We had a fuel pickup problem. We had to come in early, and we could only pick up about half our tank, so we were trying to come in on every yellow to get fuel, and we had a good car. I think we had the best car in traffic out there, and unfortunately, we were running the high line, and I guess I picked up a piece of debris, and we cut the right rear tire, exploded at turn 2, and I held on to it for a little while, and it finally it looped itself at the exit, and went to the brakes and kept it straight all the way down the back straight, and I thought I could actually maybe keep it off the wall so I could get towed back for some new tires, but unfortunately we just barely clipped the wall. So unfortunately not the results we want for our best access and our sponsors.
Will we see you in Texas?
Absolutely. We had some problems coming into this race, and we're going to overcome all those in Dallas. We're gonna try to do that two-step boogie.
Hey, Greg Ray from the state of Texas, looking to go back home. Let's go to Ralph Shaheen.
Vince, there are different ways you can adjust your car. Sometimes you can do it from the crew. When you come down, you will see him make adjustments to the front wing or the rear wing. You can also make some adjustments from inside the cockpit, and that's what Scott Goodyear is doing. His car is so good, they're leaving it all up to Scott. Now, there's 3 things that he can do. This right here is for the anti-roll bar. There'll be one in the front and one in the back. He can adjust this here, and he can also adjust the weight jacker up here, which is usually just for the left front tire. He can adjust these and make that car do what he needs it to do as the fuel load goes down.
Scott Goodyear posted right now in 3rd, Ralph, as they take the halfway sign here at Atlanta.
The rules only allow you to have that weight jacker on one corner of the car. Some guys put it on the right front, some on the left front, so they move it around a little bit. The problem is you can change the weight, but you also change the ride height, and these cars are very sensitive to both those things, so you can really affect the handling of the car.
You're riding along with Goodyear in 3rd. Marco Greco, who led earlier tonight, has just made another pit stop as we get pretty close to going back to green here in Atlanta. As we mentioned, Kenny Breck is on the tail end of the lead lap. He had pitted just prior to the caution coming out. Ralph?
Okay, well, Mike, I'm down here with A.J. Foyt. He's on the radio. A.J., you guys had to bring Kenny Breck down just before the yellow came out. Is there a handling problem?
No, we were just scheduled for a stop, but we're getting ready to go green. I'll talk to you in a minute.
Okay, A.J., he's focused. He's ready to go.
A.J. sat on the pole for the first IndyCar race ever held here. And he told me yesterday that he led most of the day, and then something broke. And he's sliding down the track, and he says, here comes Jim Hurtubise and that big old Novi. And that thing was so big, it looked like a Greyhound bus bearing down on me, and that was the end of that.
Well, now it's AJ that looks like a Novi. Oh, jeez.
Johnny Rutherford went on to win that race. Under the lights at Atlanta. We're just past halfway. Tony Stewart has come from 25th starting spot to the lead. Here's Vince.
Well, the banking here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway provides for some exciting racing in the corners, but it turned out to be the thing that did in John Paul. John, explain the situation.
Well, we were running 220-mile-an-hour laps that whole segment before that with Kenny Breck trying to get a lap back. We only had 3 gears. The 2nd, 4th, and 6th gear weren't there, so I was coming out of the pits on that one yellow trying to determine my position beside Stewart, and went up on the banking in 1st gear, which is the only gear I really had. And the transition was such, it just spun the thing right around. It just caught me off guard. Cold tires, it was just my own fault.
Disappointed John Paul, but the best news of all, he's fine. He'll be back in Texas.
Tough break tonight for a very talented driver. We are back under green.
Good racing there. You saw Scott Sharp there in the yellow and red car, about 3 wide in the middle of the corner.
Now, Scott has been fast on each of these last 2 restarts. 100 laps to go. And Sharp moves up to 5th place.
Buddy Lazier in the blue car right behind Davey Hamilton trying to make a move, and
here comes Sharp.
And you can see right there Lazier in the blue car. You see that thing wiggle as they came off the corner?
And Sharp moves past Lazier. That is for position. That's 4th place.
Well, again, we've lost There's Lazier again, but Lazier had Billy Boat right in his tail end as Sharp was going around the outside, and Buddy just had to roll out of the throttle because it loosened him up so bad.
Now Billy Boat is posted in 11th, 1 lap back of the lead. Up front, Tony Stewart. Hard to believe where he qualified, but not an unfamiliar position for Stewart. In the lead and about to lose it.
Look at Goodyear underneath. Just drives right by.
Scott Goodyear 219.2 the last lap. Stewart 217.1.
Well, again, the draft is a big thing. They're out there clear, so actually the guy in second spot has really probably got the advantage.
So Scott Goodyear goes back to the lead where he has been most of this evening.
We can see Davey Hamilton, the middle of those 5 cars right there. Again, right in third spot, having a great day with his Reeboks.
And Kenny Breck has dropped back in that pack, so he is now 1 lap down. As a result of the pit stop made just prior to Greg Ray's spin and collision with the inside wall. Scott Goodyear's now led 70 of the 112 laps.
Well, he's been up front all day, but it looks like Davey might have a little bit for Stewart right here. He's closed that gap and is all over the gearbox of that thing.
That's Idaho's Davey Hamilton. Right back of Stewart. Stewart's trying to become the driver who has come the farthest to win in the history of the Indy Racing League.
You can see Sharp now got a little bit of run on Davey underneath right there. This is inside Sharp's car.
Got one looking inside. He's there, Tony. He's there.
There goes Scott Sharp.
Tuck him behind him now.
Well, again, that might be the draft that Sharp was able to catch, let those guys break wind for him, and he just drove by him.
Sharp has been very fast on new tires. Eddie Cheever won this year's Indy 500 from 17th starting spot. Stewart tonight started 25th. He outqualified 3 cars, 2 of which did not take time.
Well, again, this is outside the back of Sharp's car, looking back at Stewart.
A couple of sparks there up in the corner.
Well, they run the cars real low, and obviously when they have a full tank of fuel, you're going to be able to get them right down on the surface because that's where they stick the best.
Battle for second place. The point leader and the man who left the last race as the point.
Background, you know, and coaching football, you can't see everything on the football field, and so we decided to try that in the racetrack.
Pretty neat. Scott Goodyear looking for his first Pep Boys Indy Racing League win. He has 3 seconds, and he leads here tonight in Atlanta. Back to TNN Motorsports coverage of the Pep Boys Indy Racing League. Tonight's Atlanta 500 Classic. And we're now showing Kenny Breck still on the tail end of the lead lap, but about a football field ahead of Scott Goodyear. So my mistake, he had not fallen back into that pack. He is still out in front of Scott Goodyear. And Kenny Breck is lapping faster than the race leader last time by. Scott Sharp, second in the race, first in the points, and we asked Scott about the closeness of this points battle.
Chip has been as much about reliability as it has been speed, and now with it's a strong 4-car race and could easily turn into a 6 or 7-car race. It's going to be the guy that gets out of these next 3 races looking the best. So you really almost got to look at it as a 3-race season, and certainly you need to finish. You dump a race, and you're probably not a chance you're going to be in the championship. But at the same time, you can't afford to let the guy ahead of you or behind you win the race because it's 10 points. So I mean, if you can win, you got to go for it. It's a delicate balance.
Scott Sharp, point leader and new dad for the second time.
Well, he talked about the delicate balance, and, these are good theories before the green flag goes down, but once that green flag goes down, sometimes they forget some of these theories and balances.
And he's got to hold off Davey Hamilton. Here comes Hamilton looking on the outside. They work underneath Robbie Buell.
We're hearing Sharp's engine. You can see him here and just breathe out the corner just an ounce.
And let's check with Vince.
Scott Sharp not only is a brand new dad, but he has a brand new contract in tow as well. Team owner Tom Kelly announced today that he has signed not only Scott Sharp, but also Mark Dismore to contracts with the team through the year 2000. Kelly saying he's got the 2 drivers he wants. He wants to show stability in his team and also confidence to his sponsors that they believe that the Pep Boys Indy Racing League is the way to go. So owner Tom Kelly with drivers in full through the year 2000 with Scott Sharp and Mark Dismore.
You had to look at Tom Kelly there and Tom Sneva. What a tremendous performance for a brand new race team this year.
Well, they've done just a tremendous job, and they've had the budget, and but they've hired the right people. And a lot of times you see a lot of teams out there that have the money, but if they don't put the right people in the right spots and can get them to gel with each other, then you know, it's all for naught.
So Scott Sharp would leave here with a 15-point lead over Tony Stewart and 20 points over Kenny Breck if positions do not change. One car was slow on the inside. Was that Breck?
No, I think it was
Brian Tyler. Yeah, here's Breck right past the start-finish line. So that was Tyler off the pace. He had just come out of the pits and apparently is headed back there.
Again, Davey Hamilton right on the gearbox of Sharp. He's been able to close the gap a couple times, but hasn't been able to get around.
Hamilton's last lap, 2 miles an hour quicker than Sharp, just showing the effectiveness of the draft, helping him close right up.
And again, closing's one thing, but now you get into the turbulence, you get into the bad air, and it affects the way that both these cars handle, but usually it affects the one that's behind more than the guy that's leading this small pack of cars.
Billy Boat told me yesterday you can get up within about 3 car lengths before the draft really starts to mess up the following car.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes it's not as bad entering the corner, but on the exit of the corner, if you're tucked up behind the guy on the exit...
Trouble.
Oh, we got
Gregoire. Now, a lap ago, Stefan Gregoire came past start-finish 3 abreast, racing 2 other cars.
Left side contact. He slid low on the track.
And he has knocked the left front corner
in turn 3.
off the Blue Star battery special. You see Stefan moving around in the car. He is okay. He had a fine lead lap run going. Don't know if there was contact with another car or not. He brings out the 4th caution flag of the night here at Atlanta. And one thing that we were a little worried about coming to a track this fast, but every incident tonight we have seen the driver climb out of the car and walk away.
Well, that's great. It's not a blue dress, it's a blue uniform, but I don't think we're going to need DNA test to figure out what kind of stain that might be on it.
Kenny Breck stays on the lead lap with this caution flag. Here's what happened to Stefan in front of Buddy Lazier.
Lazier's right on his tail. Again, both cars are affected handling-wise. Lazier underneath. Oh, he just got out of the throttle.
Did he get up in the marbles?
Well, he got out of the throttle, so I think he felt something was wrong with the car anyway, and he rolled out of the throttle, and he was up high. So I'm not sure which happened first, but he definitely got out of the throttle to let Lazier go, and I think he probably sensed there was a problem.
There's a report on the radio. Well, let's follow up with Vince.
He had Buddy Lazier down underneath him, so Gregoire tried to go up a little high, and when he did, he got up in those marbles and just lost it. He didn't make contact with anyone, but he was a little fearful of Lazier being down underneath. To get a little more room, he went up top. That's where he got into the tough part of the racetrack, and as you know, Tom, when you get up into the marbles, especially at a place like this doing those kind of speeds, you're going to have trouble.
Yeah, no question, Vince. And, you know, the marbles are, that problem's compounded when you have 2 manufacturers because they're both trying to make their tires faster than each other, and sometimes they become a little softer because of that, and the softer the tire, the more marble problem you're going to have.
Last 3 races for Stefan Gregoire: 4th at Colorado, 8th at Charlotte, 5th at Dover. This is only his 3rd DNF in 9 races, and he was the 6th place car at the time of this crash. So a tough break for Stefan Gregoire. We're under caution in Atlanta. We'll be right back with you here on TNN. Welcome back to Atlanta, where Scott Sharp pulled out of the pits and his car stalled. They've had to push it about a dozen pit stalls back up the lane. and he has lost a lap.
That's a tough break. There was a lot of congestion in the pits when he came in. Greco was in there sort of crossways, and you know, he got out of the pit, but then the thing died.
Yeah, Greco was further down the pit lane and came in, and there's Marco Greco minus the front left wing. He angle parked his car in the pit instead of parallel parking it, having trouble getting into his pit stall, and may have knocked that left front wing off it.
You know, that parallel parking can be tough sometimes.
Yeah. Now here's Greco back in there. You see in raw carbon fiber a brand new nose for Marco Greco.
They actually, it took them a while to find that thing. They didn't have one themselves, so they had to go up and down the pit lane to try to find a nose to solve this little problem.
Put the little cam lock screws back in that hold that nose on, and Vince is there.
Scott Sharp, now they've taken the cowling off, and you can see the frustration in Scott's eyes. David Cripps, the team manager. What's wrong, David?
Well, we didn't anticipate this problem happening. We just came into the pits. Everything was fine. It was just a routine stop. We went to leave the pits. We had absolutely no gears. I mean, it's a shame. We just got the Delphi MCI car running well, and we can't find any gears at all right now.
Sharp was running towards the front all night, and this is certainly not a way to get towards the championship.
Yeah, this is certainly something we didn't need to happen right now. We're just going to have to work around it.
Certainly not a way to keep the point lead. Buddy Lazier has climbed from his car. The Delta Fawcett Hemmelgarn entry. Buddy just lit up the pit lane with a smoke show coming out of the pits. Came around, made one lap, has come to a halt. Mechanics continue to work on the car. But it looks like they're working on it to load it up.
Well, this is two of the contenders going out simultaneously.
And two cars that had a chance. In Sharp's case, a strong chance to win this race tonight.
Well, not only win the race, but the championship now obviously is a big concern for the Kelly team.
So there is Scott Sharp out of the car.
Pretty frustrating. You know, you work real hard to get the thing balanced and run at the front of the pack, and then have a mechanical problem. That's one of the toughest things for the driver to accept.
And Ralph, I guess you had a little jam up down at your end of pit road as well.
You know, Mike, this is a pretty wide pit lane here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but it's been awfully tricky for everybody getting out of their pit stalls. Here's Scott Goodyear. Watch the crew. It's all done. Kevin Blanche waving him out. Hamilton pulling out, and here comes Marco Greco. And then you still got Kenny Brack. You had 3-4 cars there, all fighting to get in and out of their pit stalls. The lead guys going out had a good time getting out. The one who really had the problem was Greco. He ended up parked at an angle.
Buddy Lazier has climbed from his car. Vince is with him.
It's a long race, still 70 laps left, and Buddy Lazier felt good about his position on the racetrack, but now you're in and out of the car. What's the deal?
I don't know, it sounded like there was a tin can on a spindle hitting, and we lost oil pressure, so we're done for the night. Disappointing, because there's still, like you say, 70, 80 laps left, and I think we're in a really good position to attack. It's an amazingly fast racetrack. We're out there racing wide open lap after lap. It's a lot of fun.
First DNF for Buddy Lazier since Texas in June. Let's show you what happened to Gregoire, the light blue car.
On the outside, he moves, or Lazier's got to run underneath. You can see that, and I don't know if you could see if that was a shadow or something coming off that tire, but I still think there's more than just marbles that had caused this problem.
Looked as if something flew off the right side of the car, and it could have been that right rear. Is it down already?
Oh, yeah, it's blistered.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's down. It's down way early.
So a right rear tire.
I'm getting good at guessing on these things.
Sent Stefan Gregoire into the wall for the latest caution. So Davey Hamilton is the new leader. We'll be right back with you live here on TNN. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Mike Joy with Tom Sneva. Greg Ray joins us after having a spin and a tangle with the inside wall in turn number 2, and has kindly come up and joined us up here in the booth. And how about night racing here?
Well, night racing is fantastic. We've always obviously done it all with Bruton's tracks in Dallas and Charlotte and Atlanta. Racing under the lights is the best thing we can do.
Does this track race a lot like Texas? I mean, you were blinding fast there, and you were just flying through traffic here.
Well, the tracks are very similar. They're a mile and a half, and they're 24 to 26 degrees of banking, and they are a little bit different, but they are very, very similar. The setups are the same, and certainly the driving style is the same, and where the grip is a little bit different, but you know, we certainly had a great car tonight.
We got some pretty good racing going on here. Billy Boat, and that's Stewart down on the grass inside Billy, but Billy had a big wiggle a second ago as Greg was talking.
Man, it was bullshit.
You heard Stewart. Billy sort of took the air out of Stewart's car, and Stewart had to really roll out of the throttle right there. But good racing here. We got about 8 cars just battling each other.
Now here's Jeff Ward right in there. He's 4th, Stewart's 3rd, Scott Goodyear is 2nd, all yellow cars.
Kenny Breck, the white car on the inside.
Now he's the 2nd place car. Remember, with the caution flag, he got to come all the way around, stay on the lead lap.
We're on board with Jeff Ward right here. He led early. We hadn't heard much about him through the midsection of the race, but he's right there, right on the right rear of Goodyear.
And Jeff Ward makes the pass to pick up 3rd place. 3 wide going off into that corner.
Eddie Cheever split the yellow cars. Wow.
That's Cheever in teal. And Scott Sharp, the point leader, behind the wall with Vince.
Look at the battling going down.
Scott Sharp, now they're gonna put Scott back in the race car. They've fixed up the car, and he's just run to get his helmet. And we talked to Scott a moment ago about the fact that now you can push the car behind the wall and then get back out and run it. So now Scott has just run to grab his helmet. He's going to get back out there and still stay in the hunt for this points championship. I talked with Scott earlier in the week, and he stressed the reliability was the key at this race and the following 2 events to win the championship. He said as much as speed is a factor, you've got to go the distance. So every lap he turns out here tonight could be a step toward the championship.
Sharp is in 17th place with 135 laps completed.
That's Lindike and the black and white car there. There's some great racing going on right now.
Yeah, Tony certainly had a great car out there tonight, but I'm sure Tony's thinking the championship, and he's probably not going to do anything too racy.
It's, you know, these drivers, they always talk that way until the green flag goes down, you know what I mean?
So here's Lyondike, 1 lap off of the lead inside of Scott Goodyear.
Well, these guys have made adjustments on these cars. I mean, Goodyear dominated this thing for 3/4 of the way through, and now there's 4 or 5 cars that are just driving by.
And Kenny Breck's running 2nd. Look like he's in good position to maybe go for 3 in a row.
Really is, but you got to give a little mention to Davey Hamilton leading this thing. His crew has done a tremendous job. He's had great pit stops and has been battling with those guys who come in 2nd or 3rd and came out leading after this last pit stop.
5th race that Davey Hamilton has led this year. And for more on Davey, here's Davey Hamilton, your race leader. Here's Ralph.
Boy, Mike, that Tom Stevens is a pretty smart guy. He's exactly right. Here you see, this is their new chief engineer. That is the guy who is helping them out so much in getting this car running the way it is. But it is really the team that is making the difference down here behind the wall. 9.5 and a 9.3 on their last 2 stops. Every time they've come down and made a pit stop, they picked up spots off the pit road. And that is exactly what you need to put your driver in a position to win. And this crew has done it here tonight. And they are now in a position to go off and get a win, along with the help of new chief engineer, Jamie Gallus.
Well, they would be, except that now Davey has given up 2 of those spots and gone from 1st to 3rd. Kenny Breck, the leader. Jeff Ward in 2nd. Hamilton now 3rd, ahead of Eddie Cheever. So here's your lead battle coming up on a lot of traffic.
Well, Jeff Ward, the yellow car. Kenny Breck. I mean, Jeff has caught these guys from way back in heavy traffic.
Now, Billy Boat just ahead of them is on the tail end of the lead lap.
And trying to hold these guys back, but inside of Ward, underneath, so close to the left rear. And this is at 220 miles an hour.
Clear.
Yeah, he's clear all right. I mean, this is some good stuff. There's some battles, all through the pack right now. For the first 10 spots are just battling.
You're back in the lead.
First time that Jeff Ward has led this race since lap 27. 155 complete of 208 laps. At least another pit stop.
we're hearing these guys on the radio, Greg, and I mentioned when you were still on the racetrack, your crew was talking to you. You were racing with, I think, Breck at the time. You're right in the middle of the corner, and, you know, a lot of times that upsets a driver. He doesn't want to hear from the crew when you're in a tight racing traffic battle and or in the corner.
Well, here at this track, you certainly don't want to be spoke to too much, but we're lapping so quickly. You have to pick some time to speak. So sometimes better than never.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have time. You can't get the sentence out in the length of these straightaways at these speeds of 220 miles an hour.
Sam Schmidt makes a pit stop. His pit stop sequence, his cycling has been different than most of the rest of the cars today. He's running in 13th position. 50 laps to go here at Atlanta Motor Speedway when the leader comes by, and that is Jeff Ward, the former motorcycle champion. Just that distance, one car length ahead of Kenny Breck.
Well, and Billy Boat in the green car right in front of him, trying to hold these guys back, hoping for the yellow so he can get to the back of this pack and have a shot. He's just as quick as the leaders right now.
Yeah, and I think what you'll see is even if they do pass Billy Boat, he'll probably fall back in and get in the draft. And, you know, all the cars are quick, but once you get in the draft, it's just so much easier to go fast. And we were definitely a little bit down this evening, but we could run really strong in the draft.
You're listening to Greg Ray, who ran up front for most of this race. On the lead lap, 8 cars. Ward, Breck, Hamilton, Cheever, then Stewart, Goodyear, Boat. Boat, 7 cars in the lead lap. Boat on the tail end.
Well, it was amazing. Ward came right through the first 4 or 5 guys, got to the lead, and looked like he was going to drive off. But now Kenny's closing the gap. Davy's still right there coming back. So, you know, this is fun stuff to watch.
Well, the only car right now that's lapping faster than Jeff Ward is Billy Boat at the head of that train, and that's the hardest he's had to race all night, to try to stay and keep that green car on the tail end of the lead lap.
Again, this is Marco Greco, who's been one of the quicker cars, but had the nose problem, made those adjustments, and now it's causing Billy a little bit of stress.
Now Marco's going to go 2 laps down here to the lead.
Look at Kenny looking underneath. Now it's Davey down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, he's going to split them.
Clear.
Oh, good move by Davey Hamilton. Again, traffic's real important. Greg, as you know, playing the traffic is a big part of the driver's job out there.
I'll tell you what, it looks like Brack just barely came off the throttle. That's all Davey needed to just go inside and take that spot.
And here's Eddie Cheever running in 4th, not that far off the lead. There's Cheever's teal-colored car.
He's actually one of the quickest cars on the racetrack. Eddie, he's been up and down all night, but right now he's as quick as anybody.
For more on Cheever, here's Vince.
Eddie Cheever has made very few adjustments. They made a tire pressure adjustment at one point during the race. Otherwise, the car has been great, and he's moved up. Scott Sharp is back out of the car again. Scott, out of the car, in the car. What's going on?
Well, we thought we'd maybe suddenly I came into my pit stop, pulled it out of gear, got the pit stop done, went to put it back into first, no second. It stalled. So then I put it in 3rd, really revved it up a lot, but so we thought we broke a rail in the gearbox. They thought they fixed that, but we must have broken something like an input shaft or something deeper. It's a real shame. The Delphi MCI car's been reliable all year. These guys have done a great job. It's a shame. It's going to hurt us in the points.
Scott Sharp, done for the night.
Well, Vince, tell him if he can coax that thing around for 2 laps, he can gain 2 spots. Buddy Lazier and Robbie Unser have each completed 1 more lap, or 2 more laps in Unser's case, than Scott Sharp. Tough night for the point leader, and a tough night for Sam Schmidt. He had just made a pit stop, and there was a big cloud of smoke from Schmidt's car. So Billy Boat gets the free pass all the way around the racetrack and stays on the lead lap with this caution. The Pep Boys Indy Racing League will have its finale in Las Vegas, but there's a lot of gambling going on here right now. There are 42 laps to run. That is very close to the outside edge of the fuel window, Tom, and a number of teams have just made what they hope will be their last stop tonight. We're going to have a look at some of these stops. Jeff Ward on top, Davey Hamilton and Kenny Breck, top to bottom.
Top 3 guys. Ward's in first, stopped first. Breck's the 3rd one to get stopped. Again, Hamilton, the first out. He wasn't the first to stop, but he was the first out. So the stationary time for the Reebok team, I mean, they got good tread in those Reeboks in that crew tonight.
I don't know if you noticed it, but like Tony Stewart got pushed in the grass coming in the pits. It looks like it held him up some.
Well, it did, because he was one of the last guys of the leaders to come back out, and you know, he lost a couple spots.
There's a look at who's hot. Some of the drivers that have advanced a lot of positions tonight. Let's get an update on the 4th place car, Eddie Cheever. Here's Vince.
Eddie Cheever came in for a pit stop. They, of course, put on the new tires, added the fuel and a front wing adjustment as well. Team manager Dick Karen says no problem. They can definitely go the distance on the fuel that they have. Cheever had a near miss with Mark Dismore as he exited the pits. Dismore had to put his right side tires on the grass to avoid the collision between the two, but both somehow got out cleanly. Cheever believes they can win this race.
Going green.
Well, we got a little better restart here. I mean, we got all 3 guys right there at the front. This is the best restart we've had since the start of the race.
The one we didn't have is Cheever. He's well back in that pack.
Look at Ward up high in the yellow car.
Kenny down low. Both those guys are very aggressive on restarts.
Davey Hamilton trying to hold off.
He's got to get her back up before they get to the middle of that corner. Davey's got his hands full. They're going on both sides of him.
Well, that's what he did.
Here comes Dismore.
And here comes Mark Dismore up the outside.
Well, again, those two, the guys in front of him are battling for position, and it blows a big hole in the air, and just gives that guy in the back a good run.
Now Dismore, the second car in line, is trying to get back on the lead lap. So Hamilton, trouble. Turn 2, back straight away.
4 or 5 cars.
Turn 2.
Going into the wall is Greco.
Guys, they slid
into the inside wall hard.
All the way down the backstretch.
Billy Boat is involved.
I'm going to need you right away.
And that is Greco's car on fire. A wheel goes rolling without a race car. One car went upside down. That's Robbie Unser. And that is Marco Greco's car in flames, and he is out of the car walking away.
Well, that's a good sign. He's out.
Robbie Unser climbing out. Billy Boat climbing out.
There's Billy.
Now, he's the driver that just a couple of races ago broke the left femur, the thigh bone, but you can see Boat is okay. Look at the right side of that car. It is not.
No, but that limp, you see him limping a little bit, but that's from a previous crash, so it doesn't look like it's damaged the injury any more severe.
It appeared there was a car, it looked like it actually turned upside down in 2, but...
Well, these guys have been running so close all night, and they were bunched up on a restart, and one guy gets in trouble, and it really compounds the situation when they're running this close all night long.
There's certainly no room for error.
Now here's the bottom of the screen, Robbie Unser and Billy Boat discussing what happened. Robbie's doing the talking, and Billy doesn't want to hear it.
It doesn't look like Billy wants to talk about it quite as much. He's shaking his head. I don't know. But there he goes. He gave him a little signal to Robbie, like, no problem.
The best news is Billy's, in fact, I think he's walking a little better than he does with the cane.
Well,
that he is okay. That's the big thing.
You have a little adrenaline flow when you get involved in these situations. So
now there's Robbie talking to Marco Greco. And Marco is making the motion as if Robbie chopped down on him.
It feels like might be a little disagreement on how that thing started. Ooh, Billy. There's Billy Boyd. He doesn't like how he was involved in that situation.
He's giving Marco an earful, and
well, look at Robbie Unser. I mean, he wasn't sure that Billy Boat was exactly correct on his view of that accident, so it isn't over yet.
Well, I've got everybody at the Speedway in this discussion except Evander. Now,
well, there's A.J. Foyt in the scoring stand. He's trying to figure out what might have happened out there.
And again, varying views on what happened among the 3 drivers involved. Robbie Unser, Billy Boat, Marco Greco, all 3 are okay.
That's Robbie Unser in the yellow.
And it's possible that Steve Knapp was involved. That car has not come around the Speedway.
Robbie's a lot like his dad, Bobby. He likes to talk quite a bit, and there's some situations where the less you say, the better off you are.
That's generally the case.
So everybody will get the ride back to the pits into the care center to be checked over. Vince?
Down here with Dane Hart, chief mechanic for Robbie Unser. Dane, did you get some communication on the radio with Robbie as to maybe what might have occurred out there?
Yeah, well, I guess it wasn't Team Cheever's night, especially for Eddie, for Robbie. Eddie's having a good race. Robbie just caught up in some traffic. You know, we went 20 laps down because of a fuel problem, and I guess it's just not our night.
Did Robbie give any indication as to whether he got caught up in it or maybe someone came into him, how it occurred?
Well, he came on the radio and said there was an accident in front of him and he just couldn't avoid it. And, you know, when you're having a bad night, that's just racing, I guess.
Not Robbie Unser's night tonight. Let's see if the car owner, Eddie Cheever, has a better finish.
Well, folks, we'll let you make up your own minds. Let's show you what happened.
That's Billy Bode in the green car trying to get around the outside of Greco. No, and he just doesn't clear him. They touched wheels, and look at it, vault Greco into the air. But that's a tough one. Billy, I think, thought he was clear of him, and he wasn't. They just touched wheels, and that started the chain reaction. A lot of stuff going on behind these two right now.
Now, very hard to tell from that angle, as A.J. Foyt looking on as we are, whether Billy Bode came down or whether Greco came up. Hard to say. Let's have another look when we come back.
Here at the first hole.
Back to Atlanta. Mike Joy with Tom Sneva, and Greg Ray has joined us here in the booth. 3 cars eliminated in this backstretch crash coming out of turn number 2. Billy Bode is trying to lap the red car of Marco Greco. Watch the white marks on the asphalt. May help give you some indication as to where the drivers are on the width of the speedway.
Again, Billy on the outside. The car's wiggling a little bit, but he feels, I think, that he gets by. They're exiting the corner. It's a tough one. They don't clear each other, and, you know, I don't know if Billy might not have given him enough room or thought he was a little farther on and by him.
And there's Robbie Unser, who takes the big slide and turns over.
Wow, that thing is almost on its head, but it rights itself.
Robbie Buell sneaks by on the bottom, dodges a few errant wheels.
He might have had his eyes closed there for a couple seconds.
Ralph?
Well, A.J. Foyt is the car owner for Billy Bode. A.J., you've had a chance to look at the replay. What do you think?
Well, you seen him going by the outside there. The guy's 3 or 4 laps down, and I don't know what he's racing that hard for. It's right at the end of the day, and Billy drove hard, consistent to get the lap back when we stalled at the pits. It's just one of the misfortune things. It just makes you sick to see something like that happen.
I saw you smile a little bit when Billy was talking to Gruck. I think you like the spunk in your driver, huh?
Well, I like the spunk of him, but what I smile about, you know, he's just now getting over injuries. He's not hurt, and thank God for that. Nobody was hurt. That's the biggest thing. You know, these racing accidents can happen, but as long as nobody gets hurt, that makes me happy.
Okay, let's talk about the car you still got in the race. Is Kenny Brack in a good position now to go the rest of the way with fuel and tires?
Yeah, we're fine with fuel. We're not handling like we want to, and the biggest thing right now, we're going to do the best we can, but don't count him out yet.
All right, AJ hasn't lost his focus. He's got one more car with a chance to win here in Atlanta.
Pole sitter for the first IndyCar race ever here at Atlanta, at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, that is. A.J. Foyt. Been feast or famine for Billy Bode this year. Pole at Indy, but blew up. Won at Texas. Pole at New Hampshire, but broke his leg. Pole and a crash tonight. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Atlanta, where cleanup continues on the back straightaway from a 4-car incident. Now, the car that was sliding along the wall in the backstretch was not Robbie Unser. That was the number 18 of Steve Knapp. That was up and in the wall and lost a couple of wheels. Unser's car slid down to the bottom of the racetrack, inside of the racetrack, and stopped. So let's show you this one more time. It was Steve Knapp and not Robbie Unser. The yellow car that was up and on the outside retaining wall. Here again is Billy Bode passing Marco Greco.
See, this is where it starts. These two get together. Billy thinks he's by. They're not quite by. Again, the air off these cars, though, will make them bobble or jump around a little bit, so you just got to give each other room, and it's tough at speed. He launches Greco. Now, they're just hanging on. Now, there's a lot of stuff going on behind this that we don't quite see yet from this angle.
There's Greco to the inside wall. Now, there's Knapp. The Unser is backwards on the racetrack, but it's Knapp that goes down on the right side, flips it back over.
And you can see the parts and pieces just fly off this car.
Well, good thing. That helps dissipate the energy.
Well, that's what it's designed to do.
And Vince can update us from the hospital area. Vince?
Well, Marco Greco, Robbie Unser, and Billy Boat all walked in under their own power. Steve Knapp was taken in on a stretcher. We've not had any word yet as to their condition. Marco Greco is getting ready to come out here on the golf cart. So let's see if we can get a quick word with Marco as to exactly what happened. Marco, explain to us what occurred out there.
Well, I don't know. I just know that my spots say Billy Boat is coming outside, so let him go outside. So I keep my inside, and then suddenly somebody touches something, and I don't know how to say that.
Did Boat come down on you?
I cannot say that. It's difficult for me to say. I only see in the videotape, but, you know, I don't know.
Any indication as to whether Steve Knapp was okay?
Yeah, he seems okay. He's awake, but the rest of it, I don't know. I can't say, but he seems okay.
Glad that you made it out okay as well, Marco. We'll follow up with Steve Knapp and the others as they come out of the hospital area.
Thanks, Vince. So that's good news from the care center area.
Well, it really is. Steve took a real tough shot at Dover and put him out with a concussion for a race or so. So, you know, it's tough sledding out there. These guys run hard and run right on the ragged edge, and it doesn't take much to get over that edge.
So for the cars that remain, there is the race leader, Jeff Ward. Davey Hamilton right behind. Kenny Breck, Eddie Cheever, Tony Stewart, and Scott Goodyear are the lead lap cars. Let's get an update on the race leader from Ralph.
Mike, the thing that might make the difference for Jeff Ward here tonight is tires. Chief Mechanic Mitch Davis on the last stop decided to go with sticker tires and not scuff tires. They feel the sticker tires are just as quick as the scuffs, but they last longer, and they feel that they have made their last stop, and this set of stickers should be able to take them all the way to the finish. Now remember this, Wardy is considered arguably the greatest ever to swing his leg over a motocross bike. Won everything there is to win in motocross racing. It took him 4 years to win his first motocross national. He is only in his 10th Pep Boys City Racing League event, and he might end up a winner here tonight.
Eddie Cheever comes to pit road.
Well, there's real concern here. It might be their last stop, but they've had to run through a lot of debris as they're getting the wrecks cleaned up, Mike. And, you know, Cheever's in. He's going to change tires, but I don't know about Ward and some of the other leaders if they think there was enough debris out there that they could have ran through and maybe need to change. But Eddie's first in, first out, so if they decide to come, he's going to go to the front of the pack.
Well, and also this will erase any question of whether there's enough fuel to go the distance. You heard A.J. Foyt say that Kenny Breck had enough fuel, but A.J. has said that before. There was the computer throwing incident at Indy. Billy Boat ran out of fuel 2 laps from the finish at Colorado. Kenny went to victory lane on fumes. And a few years ago at Nazareth, in a kart race, Eddie Cheever was driving for AJ and was leading the race and ran out of fuel with just less than a handful of laps to go. So with Cheever coming in, there are 7 cars in the lead lap. Cheever was 4th. He'll now, of course, be 7th. Will some of the other leaders come pit side before we go back to green? That's the question right now. Well,
Talk's pretty cheap from the pits under yellow. You know, that there's a lot of psychology going on, and if I learned one thing, it was that A.J. Foyt was a king of psychology when it came to drivers and owners in racing.
Well, let me ask Greg Ray. You're in this position. Would you rather come in and have enough gas to go the distance, or think you do, hope you do?
Well, I think all the cars came in with about 50 or 60 laps to go, got fuel and tires. And with the 2 yellows, I think for sure they have enough fuel. The big question now, certainly with all the debris on the back straight, is if anybody picked up debris. So I think if anybody comes in after the track gets clear, it'll probably be just for tires to have that piece of insurance.
Okay, 7 cars on the lead lap. 180 laps next time by. That'll leave us 28 laps left to run. So Jeff Ward leaves Davey Hamilton, Kenny Breck, Tony Stewart, Scott Goodyear, Eddie Cheever, and Mark Dismore. We'll be right back.
Well, I think the night racing is spectacular. form. In any sport, it always everything looks brighter, the colors look, more vibrant, and the speeds we're running, the reflection off the cars just really enhance the racing. And I think it's exciting for the spectators to come out at night, and it feels like you're at a show or something. In the heat of the day, it's a little more grueling on the family. So I think it's a trend that I think is going to keep going and build probably at more tracks. And I really enjoy it. I did a lot of my motorcycle racing at night, and it just seems you seem more energetic, and everything seems electrified at night. So it's exciting.
On TNN, check out all the last-minute news from the NASCAR garage area with the Farm Aid on CMT 300 preview. That's tomorrow afternoon at 12:30 Eastern Time, followed by live coverage of the race at 1 o'clock here on TNN Motorsports. Let's join Vince once again from the hospital area.
Robbie Unser, boy, Robbie, it's been an eventful night. You had the hot seat you had to jump out of, and then the accident. You were right behind it all. Explain what happened.
Well, best I can tell is Boat and Greco got together, and I don't want to comment on who hit who. I don't know if I'm very sure. I know that they got together. I checked up, slowed down, and unfortunately, Steve, I know he didn't have any warning, and he got into me and went over. I think he got some air because I saw the car come over me, but it's sad because both myself and Steve, I don't think needed to be in it. And we were obviously racing, and he was close, and, I don't think it was his fault. There was just not enough room, and things happened too fast.
Been an eventful night for Robbie Unser, but thankfully, he's still going to be able to be on his feet tonight, and we'll see him in Texas. Robbie Unser.
So 27 laps are left to run, 26 as they come by. Jeff Ward seeking his first Pep Boys IRL win.
Robbie brought up a good point. We see a lot in the NASCAR races. Something happens, one guy checks up, and the next guy in line can't see it. And now we've got such good racing in this IRL season, the same thing can happen.
Scott Goodyear's in. Ralph, what are they going to do to improve that car?
Mike, they've got a bit of a vibration on this machine, so crew chief Kevin Blanchard is changing the right front tires, decided to put stickers on all the way around. Baltimore Ravens quarterback and part owner of the team, Jim Harbaugh, holding the signboard. They complete the pit stop and send their man back out into the race.
That will put him in 6th place. 6 cars now show on the lead lap. 1 lap down, Mark Dismore in 7th and Ari Lyondike 8th. 2 laps back, Andy Michner in 9th. 3 laps down is Robbie Buell 10th. Raul Boisel 5 laps off the pace in 11th. Then Billy Boat, Marco Greco, Knapp, and out of the race through 14th position. Here are the points in the positions they're running right now. Kenny Breck would pick up the Pep Boys IRL point lead over Davey Hamilton, Tony Stewart, Scott Sharp, who was out of the race, and Jeff Ward.
Well, this will be interesting. Jeff can bring this thing home. We're gonna close the gap here a little bit in this point chart.
1 to go, and we'll go back to green to hopefully run the final 24 laps. It'll be here at Atlanta tonight. Nice crowd on hand for the Pep Boys Indy Racing League debut at Atlanta Motor Speedway. On pit lane, Robbie Buell. Buell is 3 laps back in 10th place. He is on a lap by himself. Going to get a top off of fuel and fresh tires for this final run.
We see there Ward's been real competitive in a lot of races, just hasn't been able to get it done in the last couple, even though he's been one of the quicker cars, and I think he likes his position where he's at right now.
So Ward is your race leader, Davey Hamilton, Kenny Breck, Tony Stewart, who came from 25th starting spot, dismal qualifying run.
Led the race, though.
Yep, don't count Eddie Cheever out. Yep, Stewart kept his record intact of leading every race this year.
Again, the restart's pretty important. They've let the pace car get away again, and it gives the leader a big advantage, and I don't understand why these guys give each other so much room out there.
Jeff Ward got a really good start here.
Green flag,
yeah,
green flag.
He just about put a lap on the pace car before it got to pit road. We're back under green.
Well, again, Dismore let him get away a little bit more, but look at this. Davey Hamilton and Kenny Breck. Kenny Breck's not waiting around.
Kenny Breck goes to 2nd place. But he's got a ways to go to catch Jeff Ward.
Well, you can see Davey running through some of the oil dry down the back straightaway, so there's still some stuff out there.
These guys know there's 23 laps to go, so they're going to be standing on it now.
Yeah, they can't wait around a little bit, but Ward definitely got a jump. Dismore, again, was down a little bit, but he just didn't get off very good.
There's a look back at your second place car. And Hamilton there third in the Reebok machine. Fourth is Tony Stewart, and Stewart is a ways back. A couple lap cars separate him from Hamilton.
Well, we're looking at Breck. He's the fastest car on the racetrack right now. Actually, Dismore's just as quick, but being down the lap.
Now Dismore in seventh place, that is, 1 lap down. And at one time he was 3 laps down, so he's made 2 of those laps up on caution flags.
Well, again, Dismore had a bad restart, but he's trying to get the lap back. It looks like he's got something for Ward right now.
All right, Greg Ray, if you're Jeff Ward, do you let him go?
You don't let anybody go. You just have to stand on it. And the reason why he's getting, like I said, it's so much easier to run quick in the draft. So you have to you have to piggyback, but you can't wait for him to go.
Okay. But actually, Dismore being there, that's helping Jeff Ward if he's got a partner there.
Not really. It doesn't help. It doesn't help the lead car.
Okay. Ward's last lap, 220.9. Kenny Breck's last lap, the second place car, was a mile an hour quicker.
Well, Hamilton was 222, so they're all running quick. Dismore wants by bad, and Ward doesn't want that to happen.
Robbie Buell may have lost an engine. There's a lot of that smoke out the tailpipe. And he drops to the inside of the racetrack. Looks like we're going to stay green on this one.
The Menard team has had a lot of trouble with motors this weekend. They weren't happy with their qualifying stuff. They have special qualifying motors, and they sort of fell flat on them. And now they got a reliability problem with their race motor.
Buell was in 10th place.
Looks like Davey Hamilton's closing in on Kenny Breck.
That'll be that battle for second once again. The orange car is Hamilton. That pearl white car is Kenny Breck.
Well, then we got Stewart, who's a little bit off, but Eddie Cheever is actually one of the quickest cars on the racetrack, back in that 5th spot.
In fact, Cheever is closing now on Stewart. Get an update on Robbie Buell. Here's Vince.
Talked with John Menard, team owner, about whether or not he broke a motor, and John indicated a water line. Now he's having conversation on the radio with Robbie Buell. And John, what's Robbie saying to you? What's Robbie saying to you?
Well, we're not sure what went wrong exactly. We think a water line of some sort broke because we've been watching it all the time. But he said the car felt great.
Not going to be a finisher tonight, though. Robbie Buell getting out of the car.
It's good to hear from John Menard. He hasn't been to the last few races, so we're glad to see him back at the racetrack.
How about this battle? Eddie Cheever moves up to 4th ahead of Stewart, and here comes Scott Goodyear on the inside. You're riding with him.
Well, Goodyear has closed the gap, so they've all closed up on Stewart.
Yeah, Goodyear was the only car to pit, and he's worked his way through all that lap traffic right there with the leaders.
That was a door slam right there.
Well, I don't think it was open far enough for Scotty to stick the nose in there.
I thought it was. And you lose that momentum, Tom, that you talked about all night. And up front, there's Brack right there. Going for 3 in a row.
Boy,
there he goes.
I mean, I don't know if the wind off Breck's car just blew Ward to the top of the racetrack.
The last couple laps, Ward's been struggling.
So Kenny Brack puts himself in position to win his 3rd Pep Boys IRL race in a row. Nobody's done that as he moves underneath Raul Boisel. And if he wins tonight, that's 2/3 of the MCI Pep Boys million.
Well, Kenny does a good job. This guy uses his head. He's not the kind of guy that thinks he has to lead every lap. The last few races, he doesn't get to the front till the very end, and that's when he starts pressing the button just a little bit tighter.
So Kenny Breck out front with 13 to go. Here's Cheever trying to hold off Tony Stewart.
Well, we're not sure what's happening to Stewart, but the balance has gone off just a little bit. Goodyear's right behind him.
Ward's times are really falling off now. He's running 2:09.
Yeah, I don't know.
The guys behind him are going to catch him in a hurry now.
I don't know if that's a motor problem or if it's a tire problem based on that debris. A lot of times you get a slow leak and it won't show up for a while. It takes some time for the air to leak out to affect the handling.
Tony Stewart back to 4th place. Repasses Cheever.
Again, you might have a good balanced race car when you're by yourself, but you get it in between cars and you've got a little bit of a loose problem or a little bit of a push problem, and it'll be compounded severely by the turbulence.
Cheever again.
They're all around.
And he was stuck right up there under Stewart in what the DOT calls the no zone.
10 to go.
That real turbulent zone.
Kenny Brack is running all by himself, and he's the fastest car on the racetrack right now besides Dismore, and it's pretty good for Brack right now.
Yeah, that's a good sign, but there's still some real question marks about some of these other positions. Stewart hasn't given up on Cheever.
No, he's looking. Remember, Stewart looking to come back into that IRL point chase. 9 laps to go. And if he can get past Eddie Cheever, that's a few more points. Brack leading, Hamilton 2nd, Ward 3rd, Cheever 4th, and closing on Ward. He is 8 miles an hour faster than Jeff Ward the last lap.
Yeah, Jeff, I'm not sure what's happened. If the motor's gone sour a little bit or what, but
He is more position.
Caught him, passed him. So Eddie Cheever's up for 3rd place. And now Tony Stewart.
Carlo.
they got all the yellow cars together now.
Carlo.
Radio says that Jeff Ward's very, very loose on the in-car radio. 7 laps to go.
7 laps to go. Hang on. 7 laps. You're going fine.
So Ward now back to 6th place.
I like those crew guys, you know, just hang on. Yeah, like it's real easy to hang on when the thing's trying to bite you real bad.
Well, it's unfortunate for Mark Dismore. He's running in 7th place, but he's turning 222-mile-an-hour laps.
Fastest car on the racetrack, but again, you can't afford to give up a lap anywhere in this kind of contest.
Jeff Ward just trying to hang on now. When a little bit ago it looked as if victory could be in sight for the former motocross champ.
Well, Goodyear, that's Goodyear and Stewart right together. Goodyear's putting more pressure than Stewart wants to feel right now.
You're riding with Scott Goodyear. 5 to go. Kenny Breck looking for that $1 million bonus. If he wins here and if he wins at Las Vegas, he will break the bank, and so will some lucky fan.
Buy you a lot of Swedish massages, won't it, Mike?
That'd be a pretty good bet. Could one guy win $1 million, 3 selected races for $1 million in a circuit as competitive as this one?
Yeah, well, most of us don't gamble, so.
Oh, I know you don't.
Well, I'm sure MCI has a good insurance company back in that $1 million.
I sure hope so.
Kenny Brack's certainly showing that he has the business to get it done.
If they don't, it's a lot of long-distance calls to make that one up. Here is Scott Goodyear around the outside of Tony Stewart. Stewart came from 25th to the lead, and he is now in 5th place. Goodyear moves up to 4th.
Well, actually, we've got Goodyear in 4th, but Davey Hamilton cruising in 2nd is actually closing the gap just a little bit.
Catching Kenny Brack is one thing, passing him is another.
That's right. Well, with 4 or 5 laps to go, and he's got a couple seconds, so...
He's a mile an hour faster. Eddie Cheever's last lap was 4 miles an hour off pace. But he still has a bit of gap to work with.
2 to go, Tony. 2 to go.
That's Larry Kerr. He didn't sound that excited about that conversation with his driver.
Well, from where they started the night, it's not going to be a bad finish.
No,
Tony Stewart.
They've got to be happy with that. They're in the championship chase, and they run to the finish.
White flag for Kenny Brack.
Davy's right there. I mean, you know, we're talking a half a dozen car lengths.
Davey Hamilton, after 4 third-place finishes, looking for his career best in the Pep Boys Indy Racing League tonight. There he is in 2nd place. And out of turn 4, driving A.J. Foyt's Power Team car, the first driver to win 3 Pep Boys IRL races in a row. Kenny Brack takes the checkered flag. Battle for 3rd place to the line. Eddie Cheever off pace by 5 miles an hour, but he's going to hold off Scott Goodyear. Cheever will finish 3rd. Goodyear is 4th. is 5th. Jeff Ward hangs in for 6th. And Mark Dismore, the fastest car on the track in the closing laps, is 7th. Ari Leyendyke, Andy Michener, and Raul Boisel are the top 10. So Kenny Breck is 2/3 of the way to the MCI Pep Boys $1 million. We'll talk to him in Victory Lane after this. Victory Lane.
Well, here's Kenny Breck set to climb out of the car in Victory Lane for the 3rd time in the Pep Boys Indy Racing League Victory Lane. This has been a happy crew down here already. Climbing out of 3 times in a row now. He has done that in the 1998 racing season. Kenny Breck, if I got some good news for you as he gets here.
There's better news.
First off, Kenny, you just won $100,000 out of the MCI Pep Boys sweepstakes. That sets you up for a shot at $1 million coming up in later this year, which we'll see live right here on TNN. And you have just taken over the points lead. Tell me about this day.
I was debating in the last pit stop or the yellow whether to try to go for the lead or not, or stay safe in 3rd and just take the points. But I guess I'm not that kind of driver.
What do you think about winning 3 races in a row? What's the big thing with this team?
Well, you know, I have a good team. AJ Foyt set the car up real good, and Power Team is a great sponsor. Matt McCartan, as always, is supporting me, and, you know, it's just so good.
You realize you're going for $1 million in another month or 2 down in Las Vegas. How are you going to do for that? Are you going to think a lot about that, or are you just going to go racing now?
I just think about the racing, and the rest of the things takes care of themselves. You know, if you make sure you think about the racing, you might have a chance.
Mike Joy, he's got a lot to think about as he gets set to maybe win a championship and maybe go for $1 million.
Yeah, Ralph, he's got a lot to think about, a lot of zeros. Breck led only 17 laps of tonight's race, and he led just 28 laps winning Colorado. He led 78 laps winning Charlotte, but he's been up front when it counted.
Well, winning the MCI contest, winning that race at Las Vegas is $1 million, but if he wins that race, he's probably going to win the championship. That's another $1 million, so he'll be very happy.
And so will car owner A.J. Foyt. We're going to talk to the man who finished 2nd tonight and is now the runner-up in the point standings. That's Davey Hamilton. When we come back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. You're watching the Pep Boys.
Behind them and gain speed, but not enough to draft by him. And, you know, congratulations to Kenny because, you know, we gave it all we had, and this Reebok car was awesome, you know, just 1 position away.
How about the racing tonight? Very fast.
It was unbelievable. I mean, when you can go that many laps wide open, and it didn't matter if we had new tires or old tires, they can still be wide open, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, it sometimes takes a driver out of it somewhat, and it leaves it to the engineer's hands, but this Nienhaus Motorsports Reebok team guys, they worked hard, and this is a Dallara chassis we switched halfway through the year, and, you know, I can't thank them enough.
Davey Hamilton 2nd in the race and 2nd in the points. Now let's go to Ralph Shaheen with the 3rd place finisher.
Well, that would be Eddie Cheever, who was just talking to Tony Stewart. Sounds like you guys had some pretty good racing out there from the high five you're giving out.
There was a lot of towing, and we lined up with each other, and we both pointed and said, let's see if we can work, and we worked really well, and we closed the gap and caught up ahead, and Tony's one hell of a driver. We're sad to see him go race NASCAR, but he might be back. Who knows?
Mike, a little help from his buddy Tony Stewart, and Eddie Cheever comes home with the 3rd.
Strong run for Eddie tonight, and a lot of good racing there, battling for that spot. Scott Goodyear finished 4th. Tony Stewart was 5th tonight. Jeff Ward, Mark Dismore, Ari Leyendyke, Andy Michener, Raul Boisel, the top 10. We'll be right back.